The tension inside the WNBA has never been louder, and this time, it's not about a game, a foul, or even a championship. It's about a few words that reportedly slipped from Paige Bueckers' mouth. "I hate Caitlin Clark." The moment it happened, every camera in the room froze. Teammates exchanged glances, coaches rushed in, and what was supposed to be just another heated practice spiraled into a viral meltdown that the league couldn't contain. But behind that outburst, there's a deeper story. One that exposes just how divided women's basketball has become and how one player's rise has shaken the entire foundation. You can feel it every time Caitlin Clark steps on the floor. The crowd changes, the energy shifts, and the attention magnetically pulls toward her. For some players, it's inspiring. For others, it's infuriating. Paige Bueckers used to be the golden girl, the face of college basketball, the one networks couldn't stop talking about. She had the endorsements, the headlines, and the spotlight. Then Caitlin Clark came along, rewriting every record and reshaping what it means to be a star. Overnight, the hierarchy flipped, and for competitors like Paige, that shift wasn't easy to swallow. Sources inside the gym say this wasn't a one-time blow-up. It was the result of weeks of tension boiling over, constant comparisons, media questions, and whispers that Paige's era was over. The rivalry started quietly. Both were phenoms out of high school, both destined for greatness, and both carried the pressure of being the next big thing. But while Caitlin's fame exploded beyond the court, Paige's journey stalled after injuries. Every time Clark hit another logo three, the headlines seemed to erase Bueckers from the story. And that's where the resentment began to grow. Imagine giving your whole life to the sport, only to watch someone else become the face of it almost overnight. When Paige snapped, it wasn't just about Caitlin's success, it was about feeling forgotten. But what really shocked everyone wasn't just Paige's meltdown, it was how the coaching staff reacted. Witnesses claim her coach had to physically step between her and a teammate after a drill turned heated. The frustration was real. Cameras caught Paige slamming her water bottle, muttering under her breath before walking off the court. Moments later, practice was halted. Coaches gathered the team, reminding them that personal emotions don't win championships. But it was too late. The story had already escaped the gym. Within hours, clips were circulating online, fans dissecting every frame, every word, every facial expression. And while Paige's PR team scrambled to calm the narrative, the internet had already taken sides. Caitlin, for her part, didn't respond. She never does. That's part of what makes her so polarizing. She lets her game do the talking, and that silence only fuels the conversation. But sources close to her say she's well aware of the tension. One insider even claimed that Caitlin's team was advised to keep their distance from certain players during off-season training camps. It's not just competitiveness, it's personal now. And in a league trying to project unity, that's dangerous. What makes it worse is that this isn't just a player-to-player issue anymore. It's spreading to the higher levels of the sport, the media, the fans, even the sponsors. The WNBA's top executives are reportedly panicking over how to handle the situation. Instead of promoting the league's growth, they're dealing with public spats between their biggest names. And behind closed doors, it's become clear that Caitlin's dominance has created a divide. She's not just a player, she's a brand, a movement, and for some, a threat. Paige's outburst might have been emotional, but it revealed what many others are thinking and too afraid to say out loud. There's a feeling among certain veterans and rising stars that the league revolves entirely around Caitlin now, and that resentment is only getting stronger. Insiders have hinted that the tension started long before the cameras ever caught it. During a joint appearance earlier this season, Paige reportedly avoided eye contact with Caitlin throughout the entire segment. Fans noticed. Social media exploded with theories, some claiming jealousy, others suggesting betrayal. But it wasn't until this latest practice that everything boiled over. Paige's tone, the words she used, the visible frustration, it wasn't just heat-of-the-moment anger. It was the weight of months of media pressure finally breaking through. And when the coach stepped in, it wasn't just to calm a player, it was to prevent a PR disaster. Behind all of this, the league's leadership has been trying to maintain the illusion of harmony. But that's becoming impossible when their stars are publicly cracking under the pressure. Even commentators like Stephen A. Smith have started to hint that this rivalry isn't being handled correctly. Instead of harnessing the competition to grow the league, officials seem more concerned about keeping control. The old guard doesn't like how fast Caitlyn's influence has spread. She's commanding sponsorships, changing viewership numbers, and forcing executives to adapt. For a system built on slow progression and collective image, that's terrifying. Paige's frustration represents something bigger. A generation of players who feel overshadowed by a phenomenon they can't compete with. It's not just about stats or wins, it's about relevance. Every viral highlight Caitlyn produces reminds the world that she's the main event. And every time that happens, someone else's spotlight dims. Paige's reaction, while shocking, is also human. She's fighting for her identity in a league that's already picked its favorite. The fact that her emotions boiled over on camera only made it more real for the public. But what came next changed everything. Reports say the coaching staff had a closed-door meeting immediately after the incident. They knew this couldn't go public without consequences. Yet, in today's world, nothing stays private for long. Leaks from inside the locker room painted a picture of deep division. Teammates choosing sides, whispers about favoritism, and even questions about whether Paige's leadership position should be reconsidered. The fallout wasn't just internal. Sponsors began calling, asking for clarity. They didn't want to be associated with toxicity. For a league already struggling with image control, this was the last thing they needed. Caitlyn, meanwhile, continued to rise. Her recent commercial deals, her calm under pressure, her connection with fans, it all reinforced her position at the top. The more composed she appeared, the worse Paige's meltdown looked. The contrast was brutal. While one player embodied composure and success, the other was now being framed as unstable. And yet deep down, everyone knew the real issue wasn't hate, it was fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of becoming irrelevant. Fear of living in someone else's shadow after being told for years that you'd be the future of the sport. By the time reporters caught up with Paige, she tried to laugh it off, claiming it was just competitive energy. But her eyes told a different story. The pressure, the comparisons, the expectations, it's a storm that never ends. And when you're constantly being measured against someone like Caitlyn Clark, who seems untouchable both on and off the court, it's easy to understand why emotions could erupt. But now, every move Paige makes will be analyzed through this lens. Every smile, every comment, every handshake will be seen as a sign of how she truly feels about Caitlyn. That's the cost of one viral moment. The coaches, realizing how damaging this could become, are reportedly planning private team counseling sessions to repair the internal dynamic. They know this can't continue if they want to win. But repairing trust isn't as easy as holding a meeting. The damage has already been done. Fans are divided, the media is circling, and the players are walking on eggshells. Even insiders admit this situation could define both women's careers for years to come. Paige's legacy now has a shadow attached to it, a single emotional outburst that became a headline. And Caitlyn's legend only grows, not just because of her talent, but because she continues to thrive amid chaos. Still, there's an irony in all of this. What started as a rivalry may end up being the very thing that keeps fans watching. The public loves drama, especially when it's unscripted. And whether they admit it or not, the WNBA needs these moments to stay in the spotlight. Paige and Caitlyn are two sides of the same coin, one fueled by emotion, the other by poise. Together, they represent the sport's past and its future colliding in real time. The question now is whether the league will harness that energy or let it tear everything apart. As for Paige, insiders say she's been quieter since the incident, more reserved, more focused. Maybe this was the wake-up call she needed, or maybe it's just the calm before another storm. Either way, the next time these two share a court, all eyes will be watching. Every play, every glance, every word will be dissected. Because this isn't just basketball anymore, it's personal, it's public. And it's rewriting the story of women's sports right in front of us. And here's where things take an unexpected turn. Despite all the chaos, some insiders claim that Paige has quietly reached out behind the scenes to smooth things over. Not through a public apology or a PR stunt, but through mutual contacts who know both camps. One insider said she doesn't actually hate Caitlyn, but that the words slipped out in frustration after weeks of tension. Apparently, there was a conversation between Paige's inner circle and Caitlyn's team. aiming to keep the peace before the next major game or media event. Still, fans aren't convinced. Social media doesn't forget, and that one phrase, "I hate Caitlin Clark," has now been clipped, reposted, and dissected millions of times. No matter what happens next, the perception is out there, and both players are being defined by how they handle it. What makes this whole situation even more explosive is how the media is spinning it. ESPN segments, YouTube creators, and podcasts have already turned the Paige versus Caitlin storyline into the new women's basketball soap opera. Analysts are debating who's in the right, fans are taking sides like it's a political campaign, and former players are warning that this type of drama could either skyrocket the league's popularity or tear it apart. The WNBA, which has been desperate for mainstream attention, suddenly finds itself sitting on a story bigger than anything it could have manufactured. It's messy, emotional, and unpredictable. And that's exactly what people can't stop watching. The tension that started in a gym has now become a nationwide debate about ego, fame, and what happens when competition turns personal. Behind the curtain, though, the league's leadership is scrambling. Reports suggest that meetings are being held to discuss media containment strategies. Basically, how to stop the Paige-Caitlin feud from defining the season. Some executives see it as an opportunity to sell tickets, while others fear it could divide locker rooms beyond repair. Coaches are being instructed to emphasize team over individual, and PR teams are quietly telling players to avoid mentioning Caitlin Clark in interviews altogether. But it's too late for that. Caitlin's name has become unavoidable. Every mention, every controversy, every rivalry brings her more power, and that power scares the people who used to control the narrative. Paige's meltdown might have been spontaneous, but it exposed something no one wanted to admit. Caitlin Clark has changed the entire balance of power in women's basketball. And as the new season looms, everyone's waiting for the inevitable rematch. Rumor has it, the next time Paige and Caitlin face each other, the arena's already nearly sold out. Cameras will be watching every handshake, every glare, every word whispered at midcourt. The league can try to bury the story all it wants, but fans are showing up for this rivalry. It's bigger than just basketball now. It's about legacy, pride, and who can rise above the noise. And whether Paige can rebuild her image or Caitlin can keep her composure when it matters most, one thing is clear. This feud has already reshaped the entire landscape of women's basketball forever.